And
go.
Ta-da!
All right.
Woo! Yay!
Yay! Woohoo!
We did it.
We made
Episode
it to
6,
episode
the milestone.
6. Oh shit!
Yeah.
Is it really a milestone? Is 6 a milestone?
Yeah, it's
In
unlucky.
anything? Is it?
What?
It's unlucky?
Yeah.
Why is it
Uh-oh.
unlucky?
It's the devil's number.
Oh, well, just flip it
Ah.
upside down then, and we'll pretend that it's 9.
I'm not doing a handstand. I do not have the dexterity for that.
I am dyslexic, so
Yeah, hey,
it
I mean-
could be a 9
I mean, could be. Or a 3. Either way.
or a 3.
But yes, we are on episode 6.
Yeah.
Yes, episode 6. We've got Dustin with
guys.
us.
Hi, Dustin.
Hi,
Thanks for
Dustin.
having me.
So Dustin, what do you do here at
Yeah.
Haunts of Hellscream Entertainment?
So during the season, I am the priest at Fear Complex. I'm in our chapel, and I do a ritual where I say a very long-winded incantation in a foreign language,
Nice.
making
Sick.
customers think that I'm putting a curse on them, doing some sort of a sacrifice, something like that. I've been doing that since the 2019 haunt season.
We actually just talked
Nice.
about you
Yeah.
in the last podcast about the different languages and stuff that you use and how,
yeah?
how unique it is to see a character saying another language, and the customers obviously aren't going to pick up on it
Right.
immediately.
Yeah.
Well,
So it's a good mind fuck.
Right. I was just telling
that's
this.
and that's exactly why I started doing that. But
Yeah, and I was just telling this one girl who is going to be in the kitchen. I was like, you should look up some like French cuisine words to throw at people.
Yeah.
Because
Yep.
even though it's actual words, they're going to think you're speaking gibberish.
oh
you
yeah,
know?
oh yeah, no.
So-
So the way I kind of started into not English was during the 2019 season, our casting just decided to have me in the chapel one night. And I was like, okay. And I have a bit of background in religion, so I know some like scriptures from the Bible, and I started saying that to people. And then I thought, maybe I shouldn't be quoting the Bible directly at our customers because we don't want to upset any of the more dedicated religious crowd that come through.
Right.
And so the next thing I thought of was you guys ever see The Hunchback of Notre Dame?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the choir vocals in that are actual Latin. And so I just because I like learning songs and lyrics to songs, I started learning that and saying that to people. But then as I started to kind of remember what those translated to, I was like, well, this is words to a prayer that's Catholic. It's kind of a take on the Hail Mary. I should probably stop that. And so here's where it gets weird.
That's what we like. We like
Yeah.
the weird.
Yeah, fair. I've been a fan of the anime series Dragon Ball Z ever since I was a little kid. And around when I was in middle school, they started releasing a redubbed version of it called Dragon Ball Z Kai. And one of the songs in the soundtrack was the theme for the villain Frieza. And
This is perfect. This is already going to a great direction.
and I was
love
like,
it.
when I was in middle school, I was like, man, this song is, I really like this song. And so back then I had learned the lyrics to it, both in Japanese and what they translated to in English. And I thought, since I'm not doing Latin, what's another song that I know that's not in English? And just, the song's called Only a Chilling Elegy. Because that line is, the poem of love is only a chilling elegy. It's a very
Nice.
doom and gloom, I'm going to destroy your entire life type of song.
Right.
So it felt fitting to scream that at our customers as they came through.
Yes.
And so it's basically just been, I learned different stuff in different languages as the years have gone on. And it scares the ever-living daylights out of people.
Nice. So with the priest, do you have like a character name with him? Does he have anything tied to the story of Fear Complex, or are you still working on tying him in somehow?
I'm still working on the story for the character because this is actually the second iteration of this character of the priest that I've got. My first iteration, I named him Claudius Hesperus as kind of a... So Claudius came from Claude Frollo from, again, Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Right.
And then Hesperus was a name I'd heard from a song by the band 1476.
Nice.
And I just thought it sounded
Nice.
neat. And then last year, the version of the speech I did was from the video game Metroid Dread. And,
Yeah, excellent.
Oh yeah, no, I'm a nerd through and through.
I remember when you were learning this, when we were tearing down the old building, and
yeah,
you're like
it's-
singing, and I'm like, "What the hell is this noise?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's Dustin. Never mind."
Yeah.
It took me the better part of a year to learn this because about halfway through the game, it's so it's not a very story heavy game, but about halfway through, you have this cutscene happen that's like 4-ish minutes long, where another character just basically gives a lore dump. It's like, here's what's been going on in the background of the other games in the Metroid series. And I learned that speech, and because it's delivered by an anthropomorphic bird character,
Yeah, it just gets better and better.
When I was kind of developing my costume last year, one of the masks I found that we had was this really cool looking bird mask where the beak was in 2 parts, and I noticed that when I put it on and I was talking, the beak kind of flapped almost like the mouth of the beak was moving with me talking. And so I've kind of been leaning more into this like mutated half man, half bird kind of monstrosity that I have kind of gone back and forth on names for. And I settled on just calling him Ravenbeak, which is the name of the final boss from Metroid Dread.
Oh, nice.
Because I was like, this game means a lot to me, and I kind of want to honor that as I'm scaring the hell out of Colorado Springs.
And I feel that as well because my current character is a nod to King Diamond, who
nice.
Plays heavy metal.
Very cool.
As the front side of me is Jonathan, the back side of me is Abigail. It's based on the album Abigail, which is a concept album, and the whole album from the first song to the last song is a story about a possession.
Oh, nice.
And that's what my character is based on, is King Diamond, the heavy
that.
metal
I love
legend
that.
that he is.
See, I love that you guys have like these backstories that it didn't like we had Kron on earlier where he's got this character and it's like we're based off of demons and we're based off of Greek mythology and monsters and Wizzo's over here like I remember the movie Little Monsters and the blue guy, yeah, that's Wizzo. You know, like that's like his main backstory besides like Pee-wee, you know, like he's like a mix of Little Monsters and Pee-wee. And I'm
It's
like,
really good though.
weird.
Well, in making Wizzo an imaginary friend still blows my mind. Even though you told me that he was an imaginary friend years ago, that still blows my mind.
I just wanted something a little different, you know. Like I've never
Yeah.
heard of one, and I've asked some people like around different haunts and things if they've ever heard of one, and they never have. And I'm like, let's just roll with it. I can't go wrong with it. I mean,
Right.
you know, I go into a pirate scene, I can be a pirate imaginary friend. You know, there's always a little kid somewhere. So
Yep, everybody can imagine up a
Right.
friend.
So how long have you been in the industry, and how long have you been working for Hellscream Entertainment?
So I got my start in 2015, right after I graduated high school, with Ghoul's Gulch, and I was with them for a couple years, and then they sold their haunt and their space to Hellscream Entertainment, and I decided to take a couple years to just step back and try to focus more on like getting a out of the industry job that would last for like the off season time frame, and try to kind of start trying to emphasis on trying to kind of get my life together because
Yeah.
God knows I still haven't done that.
Hey, me neither.
Yeah, it's great. So I took a couple years step back from that, and so that covered the year that there was a Sinister Haunted House, and then the first year that Haunted Minds was in that location.
Okay.
And then so that covered 2017 and 2018. So I had 2015 and 16 I was on, and then I jumped back on 2019 and 20, and then I had some personal stuff come up, and I had to take 2021 off, and then 2022 and now 2023. So this is my 19, 20, 22. This is going to be my 4th year with Hellscream
Nice.
Entertainment, and I have loved every moment of it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I feel like we try really hard to make a community out of everyone between both haunted houses.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know, everyone seems like it's friends.
Yeah, no, so far I've heard a lot of people that have said they've been in this area of like the family of haunts of Hellscream Entertainment for like anywhere upwards of 5 to 10 to even
Yep.
more years, and I'm like, that's pretty cool, you know.
Yeah.
Like I've only been with them for I think this will be my 5th season, but
Right.
even still, like it
Yeah.
feels like a big good
Yeah,
group of people
for sure.
that
I
try to
think-
keep everybody together.
I think my first season at Hellscream was 2015, I want to say.
Yeah,
So,
nice.
and So
Yeah, see,
I've been at
there's
it for a
another one
minute.
that's been here
Yeah.
forever. Like,
Yeah, well, and Jobs always like to say, "Oh, we're one big happy family here," and it's a crock everywhere else, but here
Yeah.
it actually does genuinely feel like
yeah,
a
like
family.
every once in a while you get the one cousin you want to throw out the window, but
Yeah,
right.
every once in a, but primarily everybody here is pretty freaking cool. Like I've had a really good experience at this haunt over
Yep.
some of the other haunts I've
'Cause
been in the
We're a
past.
bunch of weirdos.
Yeah.
That's all.
You know?
Let's get along.
what's the line? Your crazy matches my crazy or something
Right?
like that. It feels like that, and it's great.
I love like our audition days, our
Those are the
training
best.
days where we have both houses together and
Mhm.
everybody's like, "What house you from?"
Yeah.
I'm from the
Where
other
you gonna-
house.
where you
What
gonna
house
be?
You from? Where
Yeah.
you gonna be? Would it be weird? You know, and then it just
It's
becomes
great.
like this big weird fest, and then it's like, who can be weirder?
Yep.
You know, I'm like, oh
Yep.
shit, they've all let loose.
It's so
You got
fun.
like
It's
20
so
of them,
fun.
and they're all like screaming different noises, and you're like, oh man.
It's the best situation of the nuts run the madhouse, or
Yes.
the nuts run the nut house is what it is.
Something
It's
like
so
that.
good.
Yeah.
We absolutely run the nut house. Maybe.
For sure. So, what is some of your best scares over the years? Would you say?
Well, before I started on as the priest, back in the Ghouls Gulch days, I was a hunter, and there was there was a lady that came in dressed as Harley Quinn, and I was like, oh, it's been long enough that I don't remember exactly what I said, but I basically referenced that I killed the Joker, but I was like, I don't remember his name. I don't remember his name, but I know it started with a J, and she's like, you killed Mr. J? I was like, I did. And you know what I had done with his body? What'd you do? I had our chef turn him into pudding. And she was like, pudding! And she dropped to the knees like screaming.
That's pretty funny.
That's amazing.
It was great. I've had a few instances of like I'll spring to life, start doing my bit, and people will be like, I just peed a little. Those are so fun.
And you're like, yay, me too.
I,
And they're like, wait, what? You peed too?
there was one kid last year, because I finally was able to incorporate a really solid pop out into my routine, and this one kid just started doing one of the Fortnite dances. I was like, what? What?
Why?
What is going on here? Like you're scared and you're just gonna hit the gritty now.
I
What?
mean, I've heard a lot of stories of kids
Yeah.
hitting Fortnite dances when they get scared. I'm like,
Yeah.
is that a thing?
I guess
like
so.
when they're playing the
this-
game, do like they
this is
die and they
very
jump up and just start like.
I don't know. I haven't played any of it at all, so I have no
Yeah.
idea.
Me either.
Like I play and I enjoy it. It's a stupid little game,
Yeah.
whatever. It fills my time when I'm bored in between my 700 projects. But
Right.
like if I die, I just die. It's like Call of Duty.
Yeah.
You just die. You don't do a dance.
You just
Like-
die, respawn, and try again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't get it. Maybe it's they think they win, so they're
Yeah.
dancing. They're like, oh yeah,
It
I
makes
just
them feel
won.
better.
And I'm like, you won
I-
pants game?
I almost wonder if it's like puffing up your chest, like fake confidence and all of that.
Oh yeah.
Right. It's
something.
like our generation teabagging on
Yeah.
Halo.
Yeah. Oh my god.
That was fun.
Yeah.
No, said nobody ever.
And I mean, I've had numerous people like come in front of me, and I pop out, and they get so scared that they fall over, fall into their friends, all of that. Those are great too.
Yeah.
It's fun.
There's one instance, I think it was like maybe my first season at Hellscream, it always sticks in my head. This lady had sweatpants on,
Oh shit.
and so I scared her, and she fell, like she tripped over her friend, and her pants fell down. It was the funniest thing ever.
Oh, that's great.
It's so funny. I was in that little tiny room, like right before.
Yeah.
It used to be train wreck and graveyard, and now it's a ballroom. So
And it looks so cool.
I
Yeah.
had a girl come through I think it was last year or the year before, and she came through Kim's area, and Kim did her shovel stuff, and I heard the girl because Kim had stopped a little bit early because she had another group, so she went back faster. And as soon as Kim got done, the girl goes, "Oh my god, I just peed myself," and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be great." She's nice and loose and ready to go again. And as soon as she came around that corner, I hit with the chainsaw and she fell to the ground. And as she's on the ground, she's screaming, I'm shitting, I'm shitting, I'm shitting. And I didn't believe it, right? I'm like, oh, whatever. Like, that's just a ploy.
incredible.
Like, no way is she shitting. And she gets up and leaves. And Kim comes down from the next scare and they get past her and they get past me. And she goes, did somebody shit themselves? And I'm like, yeah, the girl that
Oh
you
my
made
God.
piss
So
themselves.
funny.
And she goes, wait, I made somebody pee themselves? And I'm like, yeah, it was
so
like a
good.
double. And she was like, oh my God, this is so great.
Double whammy.
But in that hall, me and Kim have had a lot of pee poopers. Like
Yeah.
she'll get them to pee or she'll get them to poop, and I'll get them to do the other one. And I'm like, man, this is the greatest hallway ever.
Well, I think also by the time they get to them, they're so frazzled
Yeah.
and revved up
yeah.
anyway.
Oh, the house gets them
Yeah.
so good, and I'm like,
Yep.
By the
this
time-
is amazing.
Yeah.
And
Whenever
the chainsaw guy don't have to do much at that point. When the house is doing their job, I really didn't have to do my job out there. Like there's sometimes I would literally look at them and just go,
oh god.
and they're like, "Ah," and I'm like, man, the house did great today. Like, fuck yeah, they did their job with that group. And then there's other groups that come through and they're like, "Oh, fuck off." And I'm like, oh god, here we go.
Like,
They're
oh,
not these.
And I'm like,
guys.
oh look, my chainsaw broke. Let me
oh,
go
no.
fix it.
Let me go get a new chain.
And they're like, oh
refill it
man, the
with
chainsaw
gas."
guy sucks. And I'm like, yeah, I do.
That's
You know, I
fine.
just like keep
So
going.
do
I'm like,
you.
I don't fucking care. Like, what, you're nobody to me. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm never
Right.
see it again.
Like the other 42 people already scared you. I don't have to. Like, I got you. Like, I don't have to do nothing.
You already got what you paid for.
Yeah, I'm
we're
like, you're
we're
good.
done.
Yeah. Shut up.
As-
There's just some customers where you like, you have so much fun with them. You know, you scare them and they're laughing and they tell you good job. You know, they'll give you a fist bump sometimes. And then there's some customers that literally walk in the door pissed off.
Right.
And just
Why'd you
stay
come?
mad the whole time. And then at
they
the
try to-
very end, they're like, this is so fucking stupid.
And they try to take it.
Yeah.
They try to take their fury out
Yeah.
on you, and it's like, okay.
There was,
Are these the people that maybe their girlfriend dragged them there?
Oh,
or
of
the
course.
boyfriend
Oh,
dragged
yeah.
them there?
or the
yeah.
girlfriend was a little more intimidating than they were, you
Yeah.
know?
yeah.
Or we had 2 years ago, there was a kid who was mad at everybody who scared him. And
Right.
he came through, and after he got done with Kim, he kept saying that she cut his leg open
What?
with the shovel. And Kim was like, I don't touch people with my shovel. Like, there's no way.
Right.
And I've known Kim for a couple years now, and she's been through the trainings at Haunted Hoochie and the full contact haunts, and I know
Right.
she's not touching people if she
Right.
don't want to,
Right.
you know? And then the kid came through my area and said that I cut his leg off with the chainsaw because the
Oh, yeah,
blade
sure.
was still on.
Uh-huh,
Right.
sure.
And he's trying to tell Brenda this, and Brenda's like, yeah, he cut your leg off, huh? And I came out about this time, and the kid's like, yeah, he cut my leg right off. And I was like, how the fuck are you standing
What are
then?
you standing
And he's
on right
like,
now?
well, you ripped my sock. And I'm like,
What?
and? You came to you're an idiot. Like, get out of here, kid. Like,
Like,
I had to
go
walk
home.
back inside because, like, Brenda was like, no, calm down. Because I was getting mad. I was like, man, I'm about to cut this kid for real.
Yeah, like,
Like,
actually cut
we're
his
about
leg
to
off.
have a real incident.
And that's why most of us don't do PR.
Yeah, and I'm like, no,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go sit back down in my little chainsaw hall. I'm gonna
Yeah.
scare somebody else because this kid's gonna drive me nuts.
Yep. That's really what you got to do. If a customer's really pissing you off, you just hold on to this,
You gotta woosah that shit and go
focus
right
it,
back to something
and
else.
Use it to scare the next customer.
Oh man, that
Yeah.
I feel so bad for the customers that follow those groups of kids that are like
Oh,
just
yeah.
talking shit the whole time, and you're building it up and you're building it up, and that next group comes and you're like,
This
and
rage
they're
needs
like,
an
"Oh,
outlet,
God."
and it's
Or-
you.
Or if it's me,
Right.
I'll talk shit back to the kids because like most of my
I-
adult life, I've worked in a kitchen.
oh,
You know what chefs and line cooks and dishwashers do all day?
they talk shit.
They talk
we talk shit. And we say the meanest things to each other all the time.
Right.
So it's like, oh, you think you're cool?
You think you're all that? No, you're mine, motherfucker.
yeah.
I always like, because again, I was chainsaw, so I always like to throw the chainsaw at them, and I'll take it and I'll have my hand on the grip, you know, and it'll be revving and things, and I'll throw it and I'll let go of one hand and I'll let the other one go. But the way the angle is and how I move my hands, it looks like it's coming at them. And
I've
those
seen you
kids
do that,
shit
and
their
I love
pants.
it so
Yeah.
much.
Like they immediately are like, nope, and just like freeze. They'll start peeing, they'll cry, and I'm like, oh, you thought you were a badass until about 5 seconds ago.
until
Right.
things got real.
Right? I had one kid, I jumped in the air to like
What?
go after him, and he jumped at me. And
Oh,
we're
man.
both in the air, and I'm like, I'm gonna kill this kid because the chainsaw was coming right for him, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna kill him. So I immediately like threw my leg down, popped my knee out of socket,
Oh,
like
yeah.
spun around, did like a whole 360 thing, and came and like scraped the chainsaw on the ground, and it like sparked at his feet.
Yeah.
And he jumps into the wall, and he's like screaming his fucking head off. And then I did like another pivot move, and then after it, I was like, man, this is a really cool scare, and this kid like probably regrets talking shit. But at the same time, I fucked my knee up
You
so
just
damn
screwed your
bad.
knee.
Like it's still bad, and that's 2
Yeah.
years ago. And I'm like, man,
Yeah.
I shouldn't have did that.
Yep.
But at the same time, it was one of my greatest scares, you know. So I'm
Right.
like, whatever.
We all
No,
have-
there was one of the first nights that I did the chapel. back when back when we were calling Haunted Mines, we were at the old building. There was one night, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna see just how loud I can go with this.
I remember this night.
And
we were there that night. It was
Yeah.
the night that we got snowed out.
no,
and
this
they
was
brought us
this
over.
was
Yeah.
this was right before, because that night I was working the snake,
Okay.
which I will get to in just a moment. So the reason that I had to work the snake is what I'm about to say.
This is pretty good.
So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna see how loud I can go with this, and we'll just see what happens. And so, from the first group, I'm at the top of my voice. You know how Jesse always talks about the
Yeah.
30, 70, 100? I was doing 100 for the entire night.
Yeah.
And I completely blew my voice out. This was a Saturday night, so it was one of the longer nights. Completely blew my voice out. Had no voice at all. Sunday, and I was like, hey, I need to work the snake because that's all I'll be able to do. And our casting was like, yeah, that's fine. And then we were off Monday and Tuesday. And then Wednesday was when it was snowing really bad, so we had the Hellscream folks come over. And I was like, hey, I unfortunately need to work the snake again, but I should be okay tomorrow. And casting's like, yeah, that's fine. Saturday night, our flow manager comes up to me and she's like, we could hear you in the queue line. Which, as far as just straight line as a crow flies distance, the chapel wasn't that far from the queue line. But when you factor in all the walls to absorb sound, all the props and everything that absorb sound, all the animatronics that make noise, the customers screaming, the actors screaming, speakers that we've got, and just the general din and chaos of a haunted house, for them to have heard my voice from
Clear
the
as
queue
day.
line, clear as day.
It wasn't like a muffled sound. It was clear.
Wow.
Yeah, because there were people that were in the queue line asking, what is that gibberish that someone is just shouting at the top of his voice? That was Frieza's theme from Dragon Ball Z Kai.
That's funny.
But yeah, I completely blew my voice out. And that kind of helped me find like the upper ranges of my limit as far as what I can do for a full night. But man, people were I do remember a couple people came through that and they're like, wait, this is what that noise was? Oh my god. I just remembered another really good story of another really good scare. So this was what I'm about to say was during the 2020 season. Right before the chapel was a blacked out room that had a bunch of metal barrels. And normally we would have the customers like walk through it, kind of like maze almost. But because this was fresh out of the COVID lockdowns, we just had them walk straight through. And so that year, my costume was a blackout robe and hood that covered my face completely. So I was basically just this shadow. And I was standing behind one of the barrels that was right in front of where the customers would go. And they walk by, and I smack it really hard, and they freak out. They run into the chapel. And then I walk into the chapel, and I start doing my routine. And they turn around, they see me, and they yell, "Oh, fuck, he followed us!" And they run again. And I try to tell them to stop running because our next room was set up to look like a room for picking out caskets for a funeral. And we had one that was open, displayed with a body in it. And this was like a group of probably 5 or 6 people. The first couple people crash into that. The other people crash into them. And all of that combined momentum starts making the casket tip over.
Oh shit.
And my adrenaline starts picking up. And so it almost enters bullet time from the, it almost like time slows down for me. And I see this lid of this casket that we had propped up with just like a thin, not even 1 by 1 piece of wood, right? Just start tipping back. And the weight of the lid, as the center of gravity started to shift, was too much for this one tiny plank to hold, so it breaks. The lid falls off. And I have to immediately turn around and go back into the chapel. And I just start laughing my ass off while they're still freaked out running, trying to get away from this shadow demon that's chanting not in English. And after a little bit of laughing, the freaking from Metal Gear Solid goes off in my head as I remember. We have a broken prop that's in the way in the viewing room. And so I go back, I pick it up, I kind of move it out of the way. And I get in touch with one of the other managers to let him know, hey, we got a broken prop here. Just because, like, that's what you do. You let other people know. You communicate.
Right.
And
oh, that's what we do.
I mean, we try.
Is that what it's called?
We try to at least.
I thought I just broke shit and leave it.
Yeah.
No.
I didn't even know
So
there was a thing
you're
called
the
a radio.
Who fixes things?
I didn't even have a radio. I just had to wait for one of the managers to come through and let them know. Or no, I broke a rule to do this.
Oh,
So we're not supposed to have our phones out. And so I broke that rule and sent a message to one of the managers like, hey, broken prop in viewing, and then promptly put my phone back away.
right.
Because fortunately I didn't hear the noise from the garage room that we had that was my cue. So I was like, okay, I've got at least time to send a very short message.
Right.
So I sent that off, and then our facilities manager comes in, looks at the coffin lid, looks at me, looks at the coffin lid, looks at me, says, I'm not fucking fixing that tonight. Turns around and walks away. We moved it out of the way and it was fine, but I'm just like, man, that is, I felt that in my soul.
So, what have you had a terrible scare? Like you just something happened and you're just like, man, if that ever happens again, I'm done. I'm done forever. Just like one of those moments where you're just like, that is,
I'm an idiot.
or just like one of the stupidest scares you've had, where you just like you've done something, you look at the situation and you're like, I should have never did that.
Actually, yes.
Yeah.
Last year, in fact,
Excellent.
last year, I popped out from behind the curtain. I was doing my scare, and one of these punk teenagers starts like kind of trying to get into my face. And rather than backing off, which is what we're supposed to do, I let the adrenaline get to me, which is not what you're supposed to do. And I started leaning into his face and yelling even louder and louder, cranking it up from that 70 to that 100 until his friends were like, all right, stop getting in his face. Let's go. They were saying that to his friend, but I was like, as soon as I got back behind my curtain, I was like, I shouldn't have gotten in his face. I shouldn't have. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can tell you as a runner, that kind of stuff happens sometimes.
Oh yeah.
I've had people try to take props out of my hand. Sometimes you just...
Yeah.
Last year, I don't remember what I had in my hand, but I had something in my hand last year, and guy tried to take it from me. And I was like, bro, you better step off, because you're at the
better-
end of a ramp that's, like that.
Oof.
You're
Right?
about to have a bad time.
I had I think it was 2 or 3 seasons ago, I was running chainsaw, and it was the end of the night. It was the end of the season. I think it was like our Halloween night. So it was literally the last night of the season. And the last customer was coming through, and she was super drunk. And I seen her come through the like my little secret hole thing that I seen, and I was like, all right, cool. I'm not gonna even do much. I'm just gonna like pull it up and be done,
Right.
So when she came around the corner, and now mind you, I had been grabbed and like held twice earlier that night by 2 different customers. So I was already on edge. I was ready to fight everybody, you know what I mean? Like if somebody looked at me wrong, I was already on that edge, And she came around a corner, and I started to chainsaw, so I reared up, and I was like, and she swings immediately and hits the
Jesus.
bottom of the chainsaw.
Oh, Jesus.
Like she hit it hard, and it like pulls it back for a second, and I dropped it down and like looked at her like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You just punched a chainsaw, you idiot. And she looks at me and she goes, you hit me, and punches me right in the mouth.
Damn.
And I had my Wizzo mask on at the time, and it
right.
like went up in my nose and like cut like right underneath. And without even hesitation, like I said, I was already on edge, and I grabbed her by the throat and like threw her
I
against the
remember this
wall.
now,
So I've got
yeah.
my chainsaw in one hand, I've got her against the wall, and like all of 1 second ran through my brain, and I was like, oh shit. And I like let go, and I looked at her, and I was like, my bad, and turned around and walked away. And luckily, one of our managers was walking behind her at the time to keep an eye on her from touching people.
Yeah.
And I apologized to him, and I'm like, look, I'll take all responsibility for everything that happened if she ends up suing. And he goes, I'm surprised you didn't like physically punch her. Like she hit you hard, dude. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I mean, I was about to,
Yep.
but
Yep.
again, it's a customer, and you don't want to do that.
Right.
And I just want to say real quick, if you're a customer and you're going through a damn haunted house this year, please don't touch the haunted house actors.
Please don't.
At all. We don't like it. We don't go to your work and touch you. Please don't come to our work and touch us. We're just trying to give you a good time for 20 to 30 minutes.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That's it. That's all I got to say about that.
Yep. Right there with you.
So, you got another question?
Yeah, I do. I sure do.
I don't.
Yeah,
I'm
I've
stuffed right
got
now. I'm
lots,
like,
yeah. So, as far as working in the chapel and stuff like that, I'm sure you get a lot of like religious feedback and stuff like that. What is some of that feedback that you've gotten that you're like,
that face just told us
Yeah,
everything
yeah, I'm
that
sure
we
you
need to
get-
know
you're
about
like,
that.
oh man, it's a satanic ritual.
If I had a nickel for every time someone was like, "Oh, this is some satanic ritual shit," If I had a nickel for every time a customer did that, I'd be able to buy in as a co-owner.
Yeah.
Happens so often, every single night. And I mean, at that point, I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. We're the cult of the chosen, not the cult of
Now,
Satan.
do you ever get corrected on the correctness of the costumes in the chapel area? Like, that's not accurate. They don't wear that.
The only time people commented on the costume or on how the props were dressed was last year when we had them in kind of white robes. And people were like, oh, is this a Klan rally? And I almost was like, no, it's not. Their heads do not come to a
man.
point. Their heads are round. Take more than
funny.
just a second to observe.
I did notice we took a little walk earlier to look for new sets to do the show in. And I did notice that they have red robes this
Yep.
year.
Yeah.
Yep.
They
They
look
put red
really,
robes
they
on them.
look actually pretty fucking creepy in that room.
They
and that
do,
was with no
yeah.
lights on so far.
They
So
fit-
I'm kind of excited to do a
They
walkthrough.
fit
Yeah.
because we have that wall painted. Those walls in there painted red, almost looking like the walls are bleeding. And so the red like robes that they've got now, the cloaks or whatever, fit so much better. I think.
Heck yeah.
Yeah,
I'm really excited to see the little changes that you guys made this off season over
Yeah.
here.
Sometimes it's about the little stuff that
Yeah.
really.
Like
takes
you
it
really
the
want to
next
see a
level.
big change sometimes, but at
Yeah.
the same time, the little stuff does
like the little
it
stuff
helps. Yeah,
little stuff adds up.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It all adds up. Yeah. I mean, sometimes people be wild. I know. I think that was last year when that Jeffrey Dahmer documentary came
Oh
out.
my lord!
And
I
everyone
heard
was
so
like,
many people
oh,
get called
it's Jeffrey Dahmer.
Dahmer.
I was like, okay, first of
I
all,
heard about that.
If you were a character in a white shirt and blue jeans,
Well,
or
I
any
was-
kind of button-up shirt or
I was in
jacket,
Cannibal, really.
called it, and
Yeah.
I was like, dude, I have two faces. What about this costume tells you I'm Jeffrey Dahmer?
and you were bald without glasses
Yeah, that's true too.
and no mustache, and I'm like, what the?
That's true too.
I
Yeah.
was in a bird mask, and people were like,
Uh-uh.
"What Jeffrey Dahmer shit is this?" A few times. I'm like, "This,
What?
you're just saying that because you think it's funny."
Come on.
Yep.
let's-
Jeffrey Dahmer's not a bird man.
I think this year might be a lot of the same. I think
Oh,
all of the
probably.
clowns are going to be called Sweet Tooth from
What?
Twisted Metal, because Twisted
Oh,
Metal's hitting
yeah.
real big. I think a lot of the
Yeah.
clouns are going to be called Sweet Tooth this year.
What in the
Even though
hell?
none of us look like, half the clowns that I know of that work here don't look anything like Sweet Tooth
Not
or
even a
Twisty or Pennywise.
Yeah.
What in the hell is this Wednesday bullshit?
Yeah, like
Oh,
that's going to be a big
That's
one.
big-
Oh
big one
look,
for
it's
the ladies.
Wednesday Addams. huh?
If
Who's
I
so
hear
funny?
one person reference the meme about Wednesday Dance, if I scare a kid and they break into Wednesday's Dance from that one episode of the show,
It's going to be even
I'm
worse.
going to break my staff over their skull.
That's it.
It's going to be the first
That'll
year that
be
we
it.
actually have a
That'll be
actor
it.
on
You're like, I am
Actor
now
on-
Vlad the
actor on
Impaler.
customer violence.
Unprompted actor on customer violence. That'll be
Just to get the bail money ready.
that'll be my 13th reason. God,
Again, we're totally kidding. We're not gonna attack the
complete
customers.
jokes. Complete jokes. We don't attack the customers. We're not McCamey Manor.
Yes, we do. No
Jokes.
jokes again.
Yeah. We can call you Vlad the Impaler.
Again, is
Dracula.
that tossing people out of the third story window at Hellscream Story fake?
Every haunt needs a good.
How do you think I got
defenestration.
two faces?
People are gonna be walking by the building this year like, them motherfuckers on that podcast said they toss people outside this window.
I mean, we can only
Which
hope
one-
that's
which
the case.
one-
We can
which
hope
window's
it's
open?
popular.
Oh my god, we need to open a window this year just because.
Make it
like
look
just
it's
leave
been-
it.
Make it look like it's been shattered.
Good idea. 'Cause maybe what we should do is get a mannequin,
And just toss one out
Like
every
her up
once in a
there.
while.
No, we'll just
Just have
we'll
someone go.
take some rope and tie her and stick her out the window. She's just like hanging out the window as like traffic's driving by.
Get like someone to record a little like voice line that's like, "No, please, no, don't throw me out."
We
don't
need to
throw
get
me
about
out."
30 like little Cabbage Patch dolls. And just every once in a while chuck one out a window and you're like, wee!
They're like, sorry about your car.
We'll get like a little soundboard to put in their head and it's like, wee! Wee!
Hope your insurance is paid up.
God. That'd be terrible. We'd have so many car wrecks outside. It'd be
No,
miserable.
it would.
The cops would be like, what are you guys doing? Just tossing babies.
Nothing.
As a baby comes flying out the window.
Oh,
Nothing.
oh,
Nothing
you
at
know.
all. I swear.
Phew. Nothing's really going on. Phew. Nothing to see here.
The flying
Yeah.
wee baby. Wee!
Nothing
Oh
to
shit,
see
there he
here.
goes.
Ooh, better. Instead of rope, you could use like fake intestines to hang her out the window.
Yeah.
See.
I did
Like,
hear-
no one
Spatter
minds
up the
going.
torso, make it look like it's her own intestines that are hanging her. Ooh.
I did
Yeah.
hear we're thinking about adding. They were talking about. This might be like a fever dream that I had maybe once, because I want to do it. but they were talking about adding like a harness system to the side of the building and having one of the actors like crawl
Yeah.
on the wall over at Hellscream, so they would come out of a window on like a patio thing, and the patio would be there, but they wouldn't use the patio. They would just like crawl up and over the window. So it'd be
Right.
like a broken patio, and then the monster would like crawl up and over the wall, and they could go around
See-
the building and up and down and
It'd be
have like
cool
a
if it was
whole
on a-
track.
If it was on a bungee system though, so
Yeah.
when people's there online, like I don't know if you've ever seen video from I think it's called Fright Dome in Vegas.
Yeah.
They put actors up on bungees.
Yeah.
So they come from the ceiling.
So have you
wow.
ever
So-
have you ever like done those? Like
I-
acted as one?
No.
Seems like
Holy
so much fun.
shit! I worked at one at an amusement park in Cincinnati. It was an
Yeah.
amusement park haunt, and it had like 7 houses, and it had stuff in the outside, And one of the outdoor haunts, they put 2 bungee sections.
Yeah.
And they asked me if I wanted to work it one night just to cover a spot for somebody. So I was like, yeah, I bet I'll do it. I lasted 15 minutes on that damn thing, and I was like, nope, take me out. I'm done.
Tiring.
That shit
Damn.
is so tiring,
Yeah.
and all you're doing is standing on a ledge, jumping off, bouncing, and going right back.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
all I
Yeah,
had
that
to
would
do.
be
And
exhausting.
as I come out, I go, "La, la, la, la," and then you fly back.
Yeah.
But the amount of
See, but
muscle you had to use, your arms, your legs, after that
think it'd be-
15 minutes, I would have rather ran a chainsaw for 17 hours straight.
Right, but I think it'd be fun to like take people's hats.
Yeah. Yeah.
just like take them and leave them in the gift shop so that they can get them retrieve them.
I
on their
told
way
them to
out.
do it over the
Um,
entranceway here at
right.
Fear Complex.
Or-
As they come in, they bounce down and like
Oh,
get them
yeah,
real
right.
quick right
Oh, yeah,
before
that'd
they
be
walk
perfect.
in.
Maybe you give them a hat.
Yeah. Come down, give them
Yeah.
give them a sticker. Welcome to Fear Complex, and then you're gone. Like
Have
here
a
you
good
go,
time.
and then right back out.
Boing.
You give them set. This is a curse. Better hang on to it.
There you go. Throw in our
Just
cursing well.
Give some like
Right.
stick or something.
Or they're like they jump off and they're like, I'm going to the well. No, I'm not.
I missed.
Or
But our actor wouldn't make it back on the ledge correctly and
Right.
fly straight through the fucking window.
Or they like hit their leg on the way up and break
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
see, or you could put a plant. So then they're like, they get in the line with the group. You just wait, and then you jump off and you grab that actor.
Oh yeah.
People would be
Yeah.
like,
Man, I wish we did that too.
people
Is had
lose
some more
their
just
goddamn
plants.
mind.
Just have actor plants in groups that just
Yeah.
randomly get abducted. Oh, that'd be great.
We had I think it was
think we
last
did
year
that a
we
few
did that
times.
with Reese. He came
Yeah.
in on a night that he was working, and then he just like came in to walk through, and they had him as a plate a couple times. But I suggested that again. A good suggestion is to have that part of the show is on the busier nights. Throw
few
2 or
people
3
in
of
there,
your non-actor actors in a line with a certain color shirt or something.
Yep.
That every actor would know.
Yeah.
You introduce them at the beginning of or at the cast meeting, and then you throw them in a line every once in a while, like every hour or two. That
Yep.
way, the group in the line
And
doesn't know what's going
Rehearse
on.
it too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then you
yeah.
walk through, and you only have like maybe 4 or 5 actors through the house that are designated to grab that person.
Right.
And in that way they know, like, oh shit, okay, it's not going to be everybody.
Yeah.
And it would be somebody who is a more trusted actor that has been around for a while, that has maybe even been trained in physical acting.
Yeah.
Because I've never been trained in physical acting outside of like what I've done in haunts with people.
Mhm.
Right.
And then you've got people like you guys who come from theater backgrounds and have done physical training and stuff like that. So I'm like, yeah.
I mean, the only really background I got before jumping into the haunt industry itself was I was in my school playing the 8th grade, and that was it.
Hey, that beat me.
That's fair.
I played the
That's fair.
Scarecrow. I didn't say a damn word.
Yeah.
They said, you don't know how to sing, do you?
I-
And I said, not even a fucking word. And they said, but you can dance like a doofus. And I said, I sure can.
There you go.
And there I was. So there was another
There you
kid
go.
that sang in the back, and he was singing all the Scarecrow stuff, and all I had to do was do the little dance. I did it one year. I said it was the stupidest thing I ever did, and I never did it again.
I was in a few plays when I was a kid, but it was not for me. Like I tried to do a couple plays when I was in middle school, stuff like that. Just was not for me.
Yeah, I couldn't do
It was
it.
fun, but it was not for me. And then when I got to high school, I remember when I was a freshman on the board, I went to a small high school. Shout out to Canyon City.
Hell
Anyway, so for the rec district, there's a haunted house. I remember going to that haunted house when I was a kid, and so that's how I got involved with haunted houses. So yeah, it's crazy, the small
Yeah.
stuff, like that. And then I was like, oh, this is my shit.
right?
There you go.
I'm out there
Like, I was-
yelling at people.
Yeah,
and
like I was
talking to rubber chickens.
I
and-
was absolutely terrified to be in front of people. Like
Yeah.
like I said, I
Mm-hmm.
did that one play. I thought it was dumb. I didn't like being in front of people. I thought it was terrible. And then when I was like 17, 18 years old, I seen that advertisement for the haunt, and I was like, I need money.
Yeah.
I can't figure out anything else to do to get extra money, so I'll just do that. So I
Right.
went up, and they were like, "You want to be a slider?" And I was like, "Fuck yeah, that's shit." I
Nice.
rollerblade, so that's just me rollerblading without the rollerblades. I'm in. And then I started doing that, and I fell in love with that first year. And I was like, "Man, everything about this is amazing." And then I started hanging out with the builders. I started hanging out with the makeup people. I started hanging out, and I wanted to know about the background stuff. I didn't care about acting. I was like, I don't even care if I act. I just want to know the
Right.
background stuff because this is interesting.
Right,
You know,
yeah.
like how are you making some of these props? And I'm like,
That's exactly where I am too.
yeah,
Like,
and they're like,
I
"Oh
love
yeah, I
acting.
used a toothpaste tube and some fish tank
Yep.
liner," and I'm like, "Oh,
Yep.
fucking A, let's do this," you know. And me being a creative artist, and I think that's another thing is a lot of the actors that we have are artists in general,
Yeah.
whether they're musicians, singers, dancers,
Right.
burlesque performers, street artists, you know,
All
just
kinds of stuff.
yeah,
We're even
it's
seeing it more
just
with drag queens, too.
crazy, yeah.
Right. And myself, I'm like, I'm not an artsy person.
But you have like culinary art, so it's
Right.
still an art
Still
form
counts.
in
It
its
is,
in its
but
own way.
it's like,
so you see something, you see
let's put
food,
something
and
on
you
a
put it
plate.
in a
That
certain
still
way.
counts.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like you still have aesthetic pleasing.
Right. Right. But
In
you know
your
what I'm
brain,
saying? It's
yeah.
still like, I can't draw.
I mean,
I could do a stick figure shooting another stick figure, but that's about it.
I mean, I do doodles, you know,
Yeah.
little doodles.
I've never really considered myself much of an artsy person either, but all of the feedback that I've been hearing on my costume this year, because this is the most input, I guess, where I've kind of outside of just like, oh, this piece looks neat, this piece looks neat. This is the most I've worked on a costume. I bought that like bird skeleton bone mask or whatever that they have at
Yes.
Spirit Halloween, and
Hell yeah, for Spirit Halloween masks.
yeah,
Shout out to Halloween,
shout outs to Spirit Halloween.
giving us good bases to build upon.
Yep.
Right. Right.
It's one of those like I watched your episode where you're talking about the hard plastic
Yeah.
masks, and those are
Yeah.
really good. I cut the top of it off and then like kind of sanded the edge so that it wouldn't cut into my skin, and then just painted it over to like the brown wash technique stuff to make it look more like older weathered bone. And I am in love with how it's turned out so far.
Nice.
Hell yeah. You sent me the base model of it, and I was like, hell yeah, he got the base model. Let's do
Yeah.
some other stuff to it, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm getting excited because I've gotten a lot of messages this off season so far from different people asking for help with costumes and backstories and things. Because I absolutely love that part of the
Right.
hunt. Like I love building people's characters for them. If they have trouble with it, I am 1,000% down to help you build a character. You know what I mean?
Right.
Whether it's just a look, a backstory, a name, I'll help. But I've noticed a lot of the people that have been messaging me this year have been telling me that they're building more into their character, adding
Yeah.
more things, and I'm getting super excited because I want every haunt to be every haunt in general, just not just ours, every haunt. I want it to be full of main characters.
Right.
I want the customer to be so confused about who was awesome inside. You know, I want them
Right.
to be like, well, this room had this character and it looked
Mm-hmm.
like this, and then the next room had this character and it looked like this, and this character it looked like this. And I want that to be the conversation. I don't want it to be, oh, well, it's always this guy, it's
Yep.
always
Right.
that girl, it's
Right.
always this character. You know, I'm tired of hearing that.
Yeah.
I want the whole house to be just one massive main character. You know, so
Right.
everybody
Right.
is just like, I want the customers to come out completely mind blown.
Yeah.
Everybody's costume was amazing. Everybody was great.
Just one
you
ball
know.
of chaos.
Yeah, and
Completely.
the more people build into their character and build that backstory, build
Right.
that name, just a name starts it off. You know, I've known a lot of characters that had that one little name that they couldn't figure out. As soon as I gave it to them, they were like, "Oh, well then I can do this, 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 and this," and you're like,
Yep.
"Bet,
Right.
awesome,
Yeah.
All,
for
all,
sure.
all it takes is just that one start.
yeah."
Yeah. Get that.
And I think
little
that's the
bug.
hardest part too, is
Yeah.
finding that little niche of what do I want him to be called, and what do I want him to look like? Does
Yep.
he have to
Right.
have this? Like, I'm still adding pieces to my costume, and I said
yeah.
I've said I've been done for 3 weeks now. I'm like, yeah, I'm done. I'm 100% done. And then literally the next day, I'm like, let's glue this on.
Right.
And
right.
add this
And we're
thing,
going to
and
add this.
thing,
And I'm like
add
wiring
this
new
thing,
things
and
on.
add
And I'm
this.
like,
So I guess Dustin, what originally made you want to come act at Hellscream
yeah.
Entertainment?
So with Hellscream Entertainment, this was after I'd taken the 2-year hiatus after Ghoul's Gulch closed down.
Well, I
and-
mean, like Ghoul's Gulch. What led
so
you to get to that point where you're like,
Yeah.
you know what?
I want to
wanna
scare
be,
the shit out of
I
people.
want to be in a haunted house. What
It
led
was-
you to be in that point?
it was reconnecting with high school friends actually, because I
Okay.
had just graduated from high school and was starting college, and I was like, man, I'm really kind of missing all the friends that I'd had, and I saw that a bunch of them were acting in Ghoul's Gulch, and I was like, that sounds fun. And I remember when I was a kid, I always talked about wanting to be an actor. But when I was a kid, it was always, I want to be the next Spider-Man or Superman or whatever.
Right.
Never, I want to be the next thing that goes bump in the night.
Well, yeah. Who wants to be the scary thing?
Right? Like who? That's fair.
Yeah.
Like who grows up wanting to be the boogeyman?
I was like, I want to be the zombie from 28 Days Later. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? The best zombie movie of all time.
It's a good
You
one.
people
It
out
is a
there
good
can,
one.
can bite me about that one.
I don't know what my favorite zombie movie is, but I decided I'd give it a shot one night, and they put me in a relatively low stakes room where I was just operating our spark cage wall, and I had a complete blast with it. And I was like, "This is fun. I want to come back and do this more and more and more." And I just kind of fell in love from there.
Yeah.
And that kind of started this whole passion for haunting that I've got.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice.
And then with Hellscream, it was I'd taken a couple years off from haunting, and I was kind of feeling the itch to get back into it because I walked through as a customer 2018, and I was like, this is really good. I'm loving this, and I was just hearing word of mouth from people that were part of the staff saying like how great it is, how much it feels like an actual family, how great the management is, how fantastic all of it is run and operated. And I was like, you know what? I'll give it a shot, and I've loved every moment since.
Heck yeah.
That's awesome. Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's what it's about. Gotta
I
have
love
fun.
hearing those stories too, where
Yeah.
they're like, I just fell in love. It was a good family
Yeah.
fit. And
Had
I
other
like that.
friends doing it.
Yeah. Because I've worked a couple hunts where I'm like, I want to fucking shoot every single one of you as soon as I walk in the door. And you're just like, I'm going to, never mind, I'm just going to quit.
I've worked, I've worked a couple jobs like that too.
Like there was
it
one hunt
sucks.
I walked in, and immediately, as soon as I walked in the door, I was like 2 minutes past the time that we started to get makeup.
Yeah.
And I got yelled at, and he was like, "You're late." And I was like, "I'm leaving. See you later then.
Yeah.
I'm never
Yeah, if
coming
that's-
back.
if
If,
that's your
I'm 2
energy,
minutes late,
no.
I'm
Yeah.
gone."
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. I'm doing this for fun. I'm doing
Right.
it for volunteering, like
Right.
I'm spending all my free time here.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
need to get yelled at. Like,
Right.
I want to have a
Right.
good time when I'm
Right.
hanging out at the
Right.
haunts.
That was exactly, I had the same exact experience helping out with some of the building just before the 2016 season for Ghoul's Gulch. There was because again I was in college at the time, so I was like doing homework and stuff, and I got to a build day like I think an hour or two after everybody else had started, and one of the guys was like, "The fuck are you doing here?" And I was like, "I got here as soon as I finished up with my homework." And he's like, "Well, we're already doing this and already getting started." And I was like, "I know, and I'm sorry I couldn't get here earlier, but I was again doing homework for college and all of that." And he's like, I've got this, that, and the other, and a partridge in a pear tree, and I was still here on time." And I'm like, "All right then,
Congratulations.
I'm just gonna keep my head down and do and like help out with these projects." Shockingly enough, I was one of the few people that was actually like focusing on working. Most of like the vast majority of the people that were going to those work days were treating it as a social hour.
Well, yeah. Because you're
Yeah.
hanging out with friends. Why would you do
Yeah.
work?
Right?
Yeah.
Fuck that. God. I show up to work now and people are like, "Hey, we want to talk." No, shut up. I'm
Yeah.
doing
No,
shit.
just-
Like, leave me
yeah,
the fuck
right.
alone.
Let me focus.
Bye.
I'm the same way.
I'm like,
Yep.
go over there.
Yep.
I've got this room. You've got that room. That's
Yeah,
where we're
I-
going to stay today.
I will chat with you when we are done.
I'll yell at you if I'm taking a break. Hey,
Yep.
a break?
In
Yeah.
my actual
All right.
job,
Now
they're
we
like,
talk.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Good morning. That's as far as my conversation goes. Like for most, I'm busy. Like I got shit to do, man.
Yeah, no, if I have if I have a task I need to do or like a project or whatever, I try to focus on that. Just that because if I get distracted easily, and if I do get distracted, it's goodbye.
Yeah.
Yep.
And sometimes the bartender's like, "Oh, it's been a pretty chill day," and I was like, "That's cool. Good for you.
Hell yeah.
Sounds nice. I got shit to do."
Fuck off now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm gonna go back to listen to this podcast about
Right.
true crime.
Oh, shit.
All right. Well, Dustin, thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thanks for
you guys so
coming
much
on.
for having me.
Like we told everybody else, we're probably gonna have more people or have you guys come back later after we roll through the
Yeah.
list and maybe come back in character, talk about the character, especially during the
Okay.
haunt season.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun.
You know what I mean? Have maybe do a couple during the season, and then have you guys come in character and stuff. And
For sure.
See what
Yeah.
kind of conversations we can have with a giant crow
Right.
priest. A mutated crow priest.
That sounds like a great
Right.
time. I'd love to do that.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for
thank
coming
you
on.
guys.